Welcome everybody to episode 8 of Suplexes and Microphones. I'm Joe, this is Nate, and sitting between us we have the new age enforcer, James Drake. James, it's great to have you. I want to start off with something. We're here at Palmetto Championship Wrestling, and we got here a little early to do this interview.
Right.
You're the champ.
Yes, sir.
You are the PCW champ.
I am.
And we get here, and you're helping set the ring up.
Okay. It's one of those things where, like, do you want to be in something that you don't know how to put together? I encourage everybody, if you have a chance to get into a ring, help set it up, help do anything, it's best if you get in there and put your hands on it. That way you know what you're getting into. I can't count the times that I've showed up to shows and get into a ring, like just as the first time I step in it is when my entrance music hits. And when I get in, it's like a death trap. And yeah, it's caused a few injuries.
So you're saying...
Sorry,
go ahead.
I've heard something like that before, about setting the ring being part of the process. I've heard it compared to professional skydivers, how they pack their own parachute, so they know that's done correctly. Yeah.
Right.
See, the thing is, James, you're going to put it off as a safety thing, which certainly that's valid.
Right.
But I've heard so much about you being a hard worker, a leader in the locker room and that sort of thing. And to me, when I got here and I saw you doing that, that's the image I saw. Just the other day, I was talking to Caleb Kitchens,
right,
who was one of the big part of Flatline Championship Wrestling, Flatline Pro Wrestling. And what he said about you was this: Drake is the total package. And he meant that...
I'm Lex Luger?
He meant that as far as what you can do in the ring, on the microphone, but he also talked a little bit further about how you are as a person. And again, I think some of that was shown just then as we walked in. I was impressed. But anyway, that's our intro. So we're going to turn it over to Nate. And I know you're shrugging like that's just me, but
that's been me for 16 years.
I mean, that's something that's great, though. Not everybody has that.
When I started 16 years ago, I came across as just a brash, loudmouth kid. But anytime you saw me, I was always out setting up the ring. That was something that was instilled in me in training. I mean, when it came down to it, when I started training, I was driving to Forest City, North Carolina, which is 35 minutes to my house, 4 times a week. I would show up on Monday and set up the ring. We'd train Monday, Tuesday. We'd have Wednesday off. Then we'd train Thursday. We'd train Thursday, tear the ring down, put it on the trailer, drive to a ring rental on Friday, set the ring up, train before the show, tear the ring down afterwards, have a show Saturday, so I'd drive, set the ring up, train before the show, tear it back down. Sunday was your off day. That was the only day that you had off. And I'd done that for a solid year. It was brutal. Ethan Case trained the same place I did. He knows all about it too. He rode the roads and sat the ring up as much as anybody. So that's where it started, and 16 years later, I'm glad to say that I still do it.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about James Drake the person.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about James Drake the character.
Oh Lord,
so,
is there a difference?
that's what I'm trying to get to. How would you describe yourself to a promoter that heard your name and wanted to look at booking you, but hasn't researched you, looked at YouTube, anything, just calls you on the phone? Tell me about your character.
Who is James Drake?
I'm about 5'80s gimmicks rolled into one with a new school 2017 work rate. Okay. If you look at me, I'm Arn Anderson's jacket, Big Boss Man's aviators, Barry Windham's boots, George South's high-waisted trunks, and a work rate that resembles that of what you'd see now. And I've always been that way. I've never wanted to be the big guy that does big guy stuff. I've always wanted to be the big guy that goes out there and works hard. But that comes from training with guys that, like, I was the heaviest person in my training class at 220 pounds. And I was having to keep up with guys like Kid Chaos, who, like, when I first started, the kid was there, 125 pounds. Shay McGrady was there, and he was actually 150 pounds at the time. And one of my best friends in life, period, Marshall Simmons, he was about 160, 170. So I was having to keep up with these guys, but from spending my entire life on the trampoline, wrestling on a trampoline, doing all kinds of stupid, crazy flips there, I felt like I could do them in a wrestling ring and not get hurt. So I tried them, and some of them worked, some of them didn't. Yes, some of them hurt. So I stopped doing them. But honestly, if I'm describing myself to a promoter, it's, my tagline: don't let the physique fool you. Just because I've got a few extra pounds doesn't mean that I can't come in, get over with your crowd. I can't come in and make anybody I'm in the ring with look good. And if you give me one opportunity, I'll force you to book me.
Nice. Okay. So you mentioned a lot of 80s influences in your gimmicks. Arn Anderson right off the bat, I think of a lot. I know that's one of your favorites, just talking to you about it. A lot of times this is a question we'll work into later in our 10 count segment where we have just random questions we can ask every time we meet a wrestler. But I want to ask you a little more detail about this one because you mentioned a character that used to have as your gimmick that I would not have suspected at all before. So let's spend a little time. So spend a little time talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Too.
I do. My second greatest influence was Muda, and like just the first time I saw him spraying the mist, working the Japanese style in America, I was like, what is this going on? What is this guy? And the first time I saw his hood, like his helmet that he wore down to the ring, his entrance gear, I was like, what is he doing? This is nuts. But man, the moonsault off the top, I was like, I want to be that guy. So when I got an opportunity later on, there was a promotion that was ran by Tyshawn. I forget Tyshawn's last name, but it was in Statesville. And the guy that was helping him book said, I've got an idea for a gimmick. Ray Jabuki was the gimmick, but it's similar to Muda. And I was like, tell me more. So I got there, and he's like, I want you to paint your face. I want you to go out, wrestle like a Japanese wrestler, and don't say a word. Let your work get over. I done it. It was fun. I was fine. But then the wheels started turning. I kind of enjoyed that, but I want to be me at the same time. But I want to be able to spray the mist. So I started running the American Kabuki James Drake. I took some time off from SWA, and the story was I went to Japan to train, came back with the gimmick, and I was spraying 4 different colors of mist in my entrance. I was using my mist as a finish. I'd spray mist, hit them with something, moonsault, 1, 2, 3. Muda was the man in my eyes when I was younger. Muda and Arn, but Muda was the first character I really got wrapped up in.
Can you tell us about the mist, or is that a trade secret you're not able to share with us?
Everybody does it a little bit different, is all I can say.
Okay.
Well, I got a request. Can we see the mist again at some point? Is it still in the arsenal that you can pull out at some point? Okay. That's all I need to hear.
Good enough.
So there's a chance.
There's always a chance. Always. You never know. I might be drinking red Kool-Aid one day and get mad at somebody and spray it during the match. You never know.
Nice.
So I had a sign that was, I don't do signs very often.
You should remember this sign.
I feel like this one. It's influenced by, actually, Money in the Bank 2011. We talked before we recorded how a lot of times we don't remember much as far as history of pay-per-views and stuff.
Right.
But look this up. It's Money in the Bank 2011, CM Punk versus John Cena.
Right.
It was right after the pipe bomb promo that Punk did. And Punk was saying, my contract's up. If I win, I'm taking the title with me. They're in Chicago. Punk comes out. They're chanting his name before the music hits.
Right.
Music hits. Huge pop. Cena's music hits. The loudest boo I've ever heard. And Cena knew it too. He walked out. He had to do the salute. He just straight to the ring. He's like, all right, straight to the ring. Somebody in the crowd had a sign that said, if Cena wins, we riot. So that influenced my sign. If Drake loses, we riot. And I had it at the versus Abyss. When we wrestled Abyss here at PCW for the first time. So that was a cool sign. Always get a good reaction from the wrestlers. They always say stuff back and forth to it.
You ought to mention, though, that this sign was taken to PWX events.
Yeah.
Viral.
Let's say I had some miles on it, yeah.
Yeah, there were probably 6 or so events that we knew Drake was there. Bring your sign, Nate.
Yeah. I had it twice in PWX in Charlotte.
Right.
Twice in Columbia. Unfortunately, the second time in Columbia versus Abyss #2, we regained the title. I leaned a little too far over the rail, and Abyss got a hold of it and tore it up. So no more sign. So it would have been here. So,
but it's okay that there's no more sign because he tore up the sign the same night that he lost the belt.
Yeah.
So he took something of yours, I took something of his.
That's true.
It works.
That's a fair trade.
That's
very fair trade. I'll take it.
But look that up. Money in the Bank 2011. Just those 2 entrances alone.
I will.
I'll pull it up every now and then. So, and I can only use the sign though if you're wrestling face. If you're a bad
There's
guy.
a difference.
Well, yeah, sometimes just a little bit.
Well,
Slight.
That's what we're about to ask you.
So yeah, so you can't at indie shows. You're not supposed to really cheer for the bad guys. You got to boo the bad guys, cheer for the good guys, whatever. So play off a little bit each other. Okay, whatever.
Well, don't worry. He cheers for you every time.
Regardless.
He's healed. He's healed.
No, yeah, but so you said a few times to myself and Joseph both, heel Drake is the best Drake. So you say you learned lines a little bit, but you said yourself.
You told me that twice.
I did. At the time, heel Drake was the best Drake, but that was before heel Drake got to go to PWX and be heel Drake and still be a face. Mm-hmm. See, in PWX, I'm allowed to be me. Mm-hmm. I can just go out there, turn me up to 11, mm-hmm. and just go at it. I don't have to pander to anybody. I don't have to do anything. All I got to do is go out there and be me. Mm-hmm. And what it's done is it's amplified both sides. It's amplified heel Drake to where I could really care less about crowd reaction. I'm going out there to be a heel. I'm going out there to be that character that night. If I'm a face, I'm going out there to be me. And most of the time, if they're a strong enough heel, I can go out there and be heel Drake and get over it.
Super heel. Mm-hmm. You said that before to me too.
Super heel Drake.
Super heel Drake is the one that almost causes riots. He's the one that punches Rob Killjoy's mom in the face and has 6 or 7 people waiting outside telling the promoter, bring him out here, we'll take care of him for you. And they pull a knife and the promoter says, y'all need to get off the premises right now.
Wow.
He walks into the locker room and says, you're not allowed to leave till everybody's off the property.
Nice.
Well, that leads to the next question.
Yeah, you're setting these up just right.
and I asked him before if you want to look at this, and he said no, but he's still going down the line. It's working out perfect. So tell me some stories about one-liners you might have had to the crowd that have gotten a good pop, or just reactions like
Best
that.
insults, definitely. Because this is something, aside from the drill bit, the moonsault, and all this stuff, that's something you're known for.
Yeah.
Man.
He's really good on the mic.
You gotta rip.
If you walk out and you pull up the mic out of your coat, I'm like, okay, everybody be quiet.
Right. It's about to get good.
Some of my favorite ones, they just happen. Tennessee, this is the one that I'll go back to because it's the most recent, and I got the best reaction I've ever gotten. I was in the ring going off on somebody, and this lady who, Lord, I don't know who she is, but the poor thing she straight up looked like Honey Boo Boo's mom.
Okay.
She did, and I've used Honey Boo Boo's grandmother a good bit. I have. That's a go-to of mine. But I looked out in the crowd and I saw this lady who's sitting there talking, and I told her that her blood type was ragu. She needed to sit down and shut up. And then the guy beside her, who had to have bought 3 tickets just to be in this arena, because his belt line was probably equator. I looked at him and he said, "Toby's gonna kill you." Talking about Toby Farley. And me and Toby had a great match. But he said, "Toby's gonna kill you." I said, "Oh yeah? Is that right? You diabetic in training? Well, there's a better chance of diabetes killing you than Toby Farley killing me." She stood up and started coming towards the ring. It was on right then. It was the only time I've ever been to a show, and then I get on Facebook 3 days later, and there's my picture, and somebody says, "Man, he was fantastic in the ring, but he had to be the most disrespectful punk ass that I've ever seen in my life."
Wow.
And I hope he never comes back because I don't want to hear him talk again.
Meanwhile, the booker's saying, "I need you back right away."
Oh, absolutely. Tony had already hit me up about more dates. I was also walking to the ring, and I walked by this girl, and no joke, I just walked by her, I turned around and looked, she's talking to somebody, I said, "Hey you, shut up when a real man walks by." Wow. I just kept walking. She gets up and says, "I know you wasn't talking to me. I know your fat wasn't talking to me." So I turned around and I said, "Excuse me?" She says, "Tell me to shut the hell up again. Tell me to shut the hell up again." So I said, "Shut the hell up." Turn around and walk off. And this little 15-year-old girl follows me around the ring. She's walking through the crowd, following me. I'm like, are you people really that easy? Really?
It's still real to them.
Oh yeah. I once told, this was my younger days before I knew you need to calm down. I used to carry a kendo stick to the ring, and I sat it beside the ring, and this kid's just jawing at me. And I turned and looked at him, and I looked up at his grandpa, I looked at him, I looked at his grandpa, I said, "Hey, old man, if your daughter was $5 cheaper, I'd have been his dad." And I walked into the ring. Before I know it, this grandfather is over the rail with my kendo stick in his hand. 20-year-old Drake was an idiot. 33-year-old Drake is not much better, but 20-year-old Drake was an absolute moron.
Wow.
I said some things that got me a lot of real heat back then, so we won't revisit that. But that was just some of the recent ones, and one extremely old one that I'll never use again.
So Joe and I love shirts, t-shirt junkies, and you've had some really cool shirts lately. I think 5 that I know of. So which Drake shirt is your favorite, and why is it the one that I'm wearing right now?
That one's your favorite because some fella sent me a message saying, if you make this shirt, I'll buy it. That's it. My favorite shirt personally is the Moon Pie shirt. It really is.
I have that one.
And it stemmed from Rob Killjoy posting a picture of me hitting the moonsault. And he says, James Drake hitting the moon, quotation, or parentheses, pie,
Yep.
salt. I was like, thank you. You just sold me some gimmicks.
Yeah.
So I hit up my design lady, Cassie Zahn, free plug, and said, turn the moon pie wrapper logo into me doing a moonsault in a t-shirt. She says, done. 2 weeks later, I've got the design in my email. So I hit up a guy, and he actually sub-dyes these onto dry fit shirts. They sell like hotcakes. Sold out of them in a hurry. Sold out of them so fast that some of my pre-orders didn't get their shirts. And the reason being is because some of them wasn't the best of quality. And I was going to send my pre-orders the best ones I had. So I hit the guy up. Atomic Graphics. If anybody wants to know who I'm getting ready to bury, it's Atomic Graphics. I hit the guy up and said, hey, I need some more shirts. He says, all right, cool. So I hit him up, and he says, all right, I'll get back to you. I'll get you a price. Yada yada. 2 weeks later, hey, guy, did you ever get any shirts in? No, I have to go to the actual place, the wholesale place to buy them. I'll get back with you in a few days. All right, cool. Hit him back up. Hey, man, you got my shirts? No, I don't. Hey, man, you got my shirts? Yeah, I've got your shirts, but my dye sublimation printers went down. This goes on for 2 months. 2 months. I finally hit him up saying, thanks, but no thanks. I don't need your business anymore. So I'm currently looking for a company that's going to do them at a decent price. So if anybody out there does dye sublimation, hit me up.
So that's the first wrestling shirt I've seen that's a dry fit. Now what made you go with that?
Because you have to use a dry fit when you do dye sublimation.
Okay.
And dye sublimation, like, you can get as many colors as you want for the same price, and it never wears off. Direct to garment is fantastic about that stuff. Like the duck shirts. The duck shirts are direct to garment, and they hold up really well. But some of the first shirts that I saw, some of them wear off quickly, some of them don't. But they've made humongous advancements when it comes to that stuff. And the only reason I know this is because, I mean, I work in the business. I work in the business of merch and T-shirts and God knows what. And I've been around it for a long time. Playing softball, I've got friends that do all kinds of different stuff when it comes to shirts, custom pants, towels, you name it. They make custom uniforms. It's hard for me to get them to put their stuff to the side to do my stuff.
You know, it's funny, you saw me have an aha moment. You and Shay were doing a live Facebook Live and asked for questions, and I asked about the shirt, the Moon Pie shirt, and you didn't give all the details, but you said, we're having some issues, and I joked back and said, oh, you got my money in an offshore account. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And I was, obviously I didn't know until just now what the full story was.
Yep.
But
You wound up getting your stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course. I knew you'd come through.
It took a while.
I knew you'd come through.
It took a while, and there's still some that, I mean, I haven't forgotten you. If you will hit me up, I promise you a refund. If you don't believe me, ask Jason Mitchell, who just got his. It bothers me to no end when somebody says, hey, I'll help you, hey, I'll do this, and they don't.
Right.
Bothers me to no end. And I felt horrible. But I've always been transparent. If somebody hits me up, I tell them what's up.
Yeah.
Always tell them what's up. It's always, shh. Anyways.
All right. So I wear a shirt sometimes to show. It's the Horseman shirt with the Ramon style, has a Tully Arnoli rig on it. And you
Yes.
commented about how much you liked it. And I was at PWX show talking to your fiance,
Yeah.
and she said, he likes the shirt, where'd you get it? I told her where, but that site did not have the shirt anymore.
Right.
So she had a custom one made for you for Christmas, right? And she also had another shirt that you sent me a picture of made for you for Christmas, in a different design,
Yes.
similar to what you have on now.
Yes.
And what's that shirt say?
It says, let's see, giant, awesome ninja wrestler.
Okay.
And then on the back it's got my name. I forget what's in but it's in the style of the Turtles. It is awesome. I love it.
So that builds into my next question. So what's with the turtles? What's the obsession?
Well, I've liked the turtles since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. My grandmother, I actually remember back as far as being 4 and 5 years old and going into my grandmother's tape cabinet and pulling out beta tapes.
Wow.
And putting beta tapes in that had, 7, 8, 9 episodes of the Turtles on it. The Turtles, Ghostbusters, and the Jetsons. Those are my 3.
Okay.
I love the Ghostbusters, but when it comes down to it, the Ninja Turtles is my absolute favorite.
Okay.
That's just it. That's my obsession with it.
Now, I understand you have some kind of karate training or something. I'll let Joe ask that because he's the martial arts expert.
So I've seen you comment, I'm not Facebook stalking you, but I've seen you comment on some videos that were jiu-jitsu related.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I saw you post something the other day that you had a couple years of Tang Sudo karate
I did.
under your belt. So tell us, because I'm a martial artist and I've got several varieties under my belt, tell us what your background is in martial arts.
Well, let's see, it was about 4.5, 5 years ago. And this is some backstory. I was selling a product called Visalis, which was it was a protein powder. It was another multi-level marketing garbage, bull mess. The product was pretty good, but yeah. So one of the guys that was doing it was named Brandon Beach, and Master Beach is he's 4th Dan in Jeet Kune Do. He's Tang Sudo black belt. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. See, he should be up to brown by now, but he was a purple belt then.
Mm-hmm.
And I messaged him out of the blue one day and said, Master Beach, I know that I portray a fighter as a professional wrestler. I want to look like one. I want to be able to move like one.
Right.
He said, well, come to training and we'll get that straightened out. And I started doing it and become obsessed for a while. And I was rolling in jiu-jitsu 2-3 times a week. I was going to Tang Sudo training probably 2-3 days a week. I never got any further than 3-stripe white belt in jiu-jitsu, but that was because of the promotion criteria for his particular school and for Fight to Win out of Charlotte. It's tough. It's super tough.
Yeah.
And it shows when his students go to competitions.
Right.
Roland Parker, who is, he's actually my cousin by marriage. I know y'all aren't married yet, but you've been engaged for 5 years, so you're married. Roland went in as a heavyweight. He was 200 and I think the lightest you could be was 221 pounds, and he was 221 or 220. No, the bottom was 220, and he was 220.5. So he had to fight heavyweight. And he went in and destroyed everybody. Just absolutely destroyed everybody. And he was a white belt. And there were guys that, blue belts in his division, everything, and he's just done. Right after that competition, when he went up into the stands to sit and talk with everybody, our head sensei, Professor Steve Hall, awarded him his blue belt. And it just goes to show, like, I competed in that competition as a 1-stripe white belt. I won gold in no-gi in super heavyweight, the lightest competitor in the competition. I was 259 pounds. The first guy I fought was 305. The second guy that I fought was 285 pounds, but he was a Division I NCAA defensive end. Just strongest individual I'd ever touched. And I wound up beating him, and all of my matches went to time limit. I won by points. I finished second in gi, and the guy that beat me in gi, I heard from other competitors, was an actual blue belt, but he put his white belt back on, 4-stripe white belt, and he put it on for the competition.
I hear about a lot of that happening.
I hate sandbagging. I hate it. I was a 2-stripe white belt in Tang Sudo, but that was simply because life got in the way and I wasn't able to train as frequently as I wanted to. But when you sparred with everybody. And I held my own against green belts and yellow belts and things like that. And Master Beach had no sympathy. Huge wrestling fan. If he thought that you had potential, he put it on you. And that's where that came from.
Good, I like it.
Yeah,
That's one of my obsessions too.
It's fun. I loved it. And while I was doing it, I never got tired in the ring. Never. I just haven't. Master Beach has moved back to Georgia, and I haven't found a school that I trust to go to. There's a jiu-jitsu school that's 35 or 40 minutes from my house that I would trust to go to, because Roland and Aaron Collins and a few other run it, guys that I know, guys that I trained with under Master Beach.
Sure.
And I would love to go there, but I can't find the 25th hour in the day to be able to go.
Right.
Yeah. I like talking sometimes about what the wrestlers do between weekends as their full-time job, I guess, to pay the bills, whatever, as they're wrestling down on weekends. And I understand now you work for High Spots.
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how that came about? And
Jack of all trades, master of none.
okay.
When I first started wrestling 16 years ago, I was just getting hand-me-down gear. I mean, whatever somebody had, if they didn't want it anymore, I'd buy it from them for a cheap price and I would wear it. I finally looked at my ex-wife, well, my now ex-wife, and I said, "You took homemade, didn't you?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know how to sew?" She said, "I can show you how to sew a stitch." So I did. She showed me how to sew a stitch. I was taking a piece of notebook paper and running it underneath the needle, just trying to learn how to keep my seam straight, stuff like that. I started making my own gear. I started making baggy pants, and it was the easiest thing for me to make. And I was scared to death to wear tights. I was not going to wear tights. I was not going to wear trunks. I was not going to wear anything. I was going to wear my t-shirt when I wrestled or a singlet. You wasn't seeing none of me. It just wasn't happening. But I got to where I was getting pretty good at it, and people were starting to give me orders. And when they started giving me orders and they started giving me designs that I had to put onto it, I started like, uh-oh, I don't know how to do this. So I kept playing around with it, and I finally became good enough at it to be able to do it. And threw it in the closet after a while because I just couldn't keep up. And I started buying stock, like just solid color trunks and stuff like that. I finally got over my fear and started wearing trunks. So I started doing that and taking them to screen print shops, having them put heat press vinyl and stuff like that on it to customize it. And after my divorce, I finally said, you know what? I can still make gear. I'm sure I can. So Caleb Conley has worked at High Spots for as long as I can remember. And I asked him one day, I said, "What's it take to get a job there? I can work with spandex. I can make gear." He said, "Just talk to Michael." So I did. And I kept talking to him. He kept putting me off, like, "Yeah, just another guy. Yeah, just another guy." Well, Caleb finally spoke up for me, and Rachel spoke up for me, and he just finally said, "Well, we're getting this new machine, and we don't have anybody to run it. Do you know anything about UV printers or anything like that?" And I said, "I don't know anything about them. But I have people that do, and I can go learn." He said, "Okay, when it comes in, we'll give it a shot." That was about a year ago. The rest is history. Now I'm there making gear. I help make elbow pads, kick pads, knee pads. Caleb is the man when it comes to making these pads. I'm telling you, when it comes to making AMAs, you better thank Caleb Conley, because Caleb is very good at what he does. And it's aggravating. Just being upfront, honest, and transparent. But I also had a few connections with guys that done the custom softball jerseys and things like that. And now we've got a system to where we make custom ring aprons. So that was something else that I brought there. And I've just worked with him, and I've learned how to do a lot of stuff, but I'm not perfect at a lot of stuff. So, like I said, jack of all trades, master of none. The thing that I hang my hat on is I can make gear. So that's what it is.
Very cool. We talked to Anthony Henry in a previous episode, and we have a feature that's part of our 10 count where they say, if you could take something away from X wrestler, what would you take away from them? And he mentioned he would take away the drill bit. He liked your finisher.
He's not coordinated enough to hit the damn thing.
Now, did you come up with that yourself?
Yes,
the drill
I did.
bit? Okay.
I did.
How'd that come up?
Well, I put a few moves together. In my first match against the guy that trained me, David Reimer, who wrestled as Wicked, I hit a butterfly swinging neck breaker. I've always been a fan of neck breakers, and believe it or not, I was a huge mark for Mick Foley's double arm DDT. I thought that was the greatest move in wrestling. So I put them both together. Then I was working a show with a fellow named Slim J. He's out of Georgia. He's been around forever. He's actually worked for TNA, and he's done some WWE stuff. Fantastic talent. Well, he had a move called the Spliffy Twister, where you set them up just like I set up my drill bit. For people that don't know, if you've ever seen Conan's Cradle DDT, that's the setup. They sit around their hips. He's got them, their head under the arm, and he turned it into a neck breaker, not the double arm like mine. He just went from there, turned into a neck breaker, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I said to myself, I am putting these two together, and it's going to be mine. At training one night, I picked Marshall Simmons up, my best friend in the world, picked him up, had him set up, and I kept trying to figure out how to turn, and I never could. I was like, man, put him down. I was like, I can't figure this out, and it aggravated me. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to throw you out like it's going to be a suplex. We're going to turn over to a neck breaker. He said, do what? I said, just go with it. So I got him out. His feet got straight, and I turned over and hit it, and my trainer caught it out of the corner of his eye and said, do that again. So I done it again. He said, do it again. So I hit it a third time. He said, if that's not your finish, it's mine tomorrow. Been mine for 15 years now.
Wow. I know it's been that long.
Yeah, neither.
I know something I've never seen before, so
Yeah.
I wondered if
For
it was...
the first year I was in wrestling, my finish was I put them up in a DVD and I pop them up into a powerbomb. That was my finish for the first year. It was either that or the Shining Wizard, Muda. But once I started hitting the drill bit, that was it. And I tried to hit it on every show I could.
Very cool. So we mentioned Anthony Henry. He's part of a group with you called the Work Horsemen.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit. How did that come about for all you guys coming together, supporting each other, and encouraging one another?
You see, honestly, it started a long, about a year ago. Timmy Lou Retton hit me up and said, I've got an idea for a faction. I said, what's that? He said, you remember the Job Squad? I said, yeah. He said, how about the Work Horsemen? I said, so what's your premise for this Work Horseman? He said, well, wherever they go, they're always the workhorses of the show. And no matter what show they're on, that's the faction I want it to be. And you would be my Arn Anderson. I said, oh, I need you, of course.
Typecast.
So, yes. But it started off as that. And then, like, you had a group of guys that would make a loop starting on Wednesday, and they would wrestle from Wednesday to Sunday. And then you had another group of guys that were traveling all the way to Maryland, New York, and Maine, and places like that wrestling. Then you had another group that was going to Florida and wrestling. And it was all from the Carolinas. Carolinas and Georgia. We were all going all over the place. And then we just, out of the blue, we just started hashtag Work Horsemen on everything that we've done. And now it's turned into a group of guys that at one time nobody wanted to book. At one time nobody wanted, like, they thought that our look wasn't good. They thought that our work rate didn't match up with the product they wanted. Or it was, we think that your price is too expensive, when at the time it really wasn't. And all of us finally said, you know what? We're going to work hard enough to where we force you to put us on your show. And now, instead of competing with one another, we push one another. And that's why you've got a group of close to 15 or 20 guys that you'll see from the Carolinas that are busting their rear end. I mean, and 3 years ago, some of us were relative unknowns.
Yeah.
I've been wrestling 16 years. In the last year and a half, I finally starting to get recognition.
That's awesome. What I mentioned to Henry was that I understand the business, there could be a lot of backbiting and backstabbing and things, and it's refreshing to see you guys encouraging one another, supporting one another,
Right.
And so it's really cool to see that. So
It's not often that you get a group of guys that do that. I mean, a lot of times people want to backbite and politic and things like that because they're intimidated by somebody else's talent. The thing about this group is everybody in this group feels like their talent is just as good as the next person, or they're just as good as the next person. Nobody in this group thinks that they're better than somebody or better than anyone, like, in our little circle. Nobody thinks like, I don't feel like I'm better than Rob Killjoy. I don't feel like I'm better than Timmy Lou Retton, or I'm better than Ethan Case, or I'm better than Tracer X. I feel like if we're on the show, you're going to get the same quality out of him as you're going to get out of me, as you're going to get out of him. That's the way we work, and it's all from just a work ethic that's unmatched.
Very cool. So we're about to go into our one of our features we have on every episode. It's called Over the Top Rope, where we get a question from the previous person that we had on the show. And to set that up, Joe's going to ask the question, but I have a little bonus to set that up to work into who the person is in case you didn't see it.
Okay.
But
Do you know who our last interview was?
this doesn't count as the question, but I want to know, when will Drake and Josh be a team again?
Probably when he comes to his senses. Have you seen him lately?
Yeah.
This guy's crazy. It's not a gimmick.
He is.
Promise. Promise I'm not.
He's real.
Very, very. He's real crazy. Jeez. I don't know when we will be. I would like to be because, I mean, I love the guy. I've known him 7 years now. But anyway, me and Drake and Josh, it'll happen again one day, maybe. Probably a better chance of me just slapping him upside his head than teaming with him in the recent future.
Let's see.
What would that team be called?
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh. Like
Okay.
the TV show.
Fair enough. Not very creative, but
Kind of.
so the over-the-top rope question from Cutshaw was
No.
You done made him mad already. You just got started with your part. You already made him mad.
Moving on. I thought we'd be laughing like this for other guests, not you.
Yeah.
Gosh, oh my.
He's
Killing me, man.
a funny guy.
Josh wanted to know how the HPW Hendersonville Extravaganza show ended a promotion. And I know nothing about this, so
I don't know.
this is on you to give us a good story, I think.
Cutshaw, I hate you. I hate you so much. All right. Here's, man, this show, if you looked at the lineup, had a payroll of almost $20,000.
Wow.
It was absolutely insane. They had Tommy Dreamer, D'Lo Brown, Luke Gallows, Gunner, John Schuyler, Jimmy Valiant, the Rock and Roll Express. Oh man, I know I'm missing some. Laredo Kid, Hurricane, Super Parka.
Wow.
Gosh almighty, who else?
That's stacked.
Yeah, and it's not done. I know I'm missing somebody. But then you had local talent too. And he promoted it. He promoted it real well, but he done some stuff that some of the locals weren't used to. Like the promoter was Gary Wingfield, and he promoted high velocity wrestling there in in Hendersonville, HPW, and it was a staple of the area for over 10 years. He had some very good shows. It was the first place that I ever met Abyss. Was 2008 at the Whitmire Building in Hendersonville, North Carolina. It was a weapons of mass destruction match. There was 8 people with all kind, or 4-on-4, weapons all over the place, crazy. We packed the building out. There was 350, 400 people in this little building that probably wasn't supposed to hold 200.
Wow.
And it was great. And he was doing good things in the area for a long time. He booked Hendersonville High School, or East Hendersonville High School, I think. I don't know, a high school. And the venue cost him out the rear end. He got some sponsorship money. They paid for some of the talent that came in. But he was like, he gave all of the local workers, he said, you get 5 tickets. Sell them at whatever you want to sell them for. Face value's $10. If you give them a discount, just know, whatever discount you give them, that's your pay. That's your pay. I want you to work for your money. Some of us weren't used to that yet. And honestly, looking back on it, it wasn't that bad of a deal because it wasn't 5 tickets. But some of us got a little upset about it. And when we voiced our concerns, they said, well, we just don't need you. And I felt like that was kind of wrong, instead of explaining where you was coming from and things like that and trying to work something out. But whatever. He runs the show, he expects 1,000, 2,000 people to show up. He expects it to be an extravaganza. It wasn't. There might have been 200 people there.
Wow.
Might have been. And all 200 people weren't in the ringside seats where he was getting the big money. There might have been 50, 75 people in the ringside seats. Everybody else was in the bleachers. They ran a meet and greet beforehand. might have been 40 people.
Wow.
The show itself, the actual wrestling on the show, very good. Top notch. It was myself, Super Law, Laredo Kid, and Super Parka in a 4-way dance. And I'd never worked any kind of luchador before. I'd never worked any kind of foreign worker before. But Super Parka speaks absolutely zero English, and Laredo Kids is broken.
Nice. That could be challenging, I'm
Oh
sure.
my gosh. It was fun. We got it put together, had a blast. Me and Laredo still talk on occasion, and I mean, that was fun. The wrestling portion of it was fun. But very few people actually got paid that night. That night, I'll say that night. Because I know that he's paid everybody that was on the show that he promised money to. It took a while, but he got it there. But that night, he lost his rear end. And I mean, he absolutely lost his rear end. It was terrible. Like, he's told me personally, he was scared to death to face everybody. He was so embarrassed. But he finally got everybody caught up, and man, it was
That's unfortunate.
that was the last show he ran. And I saw him recently, and he said, man, I actually thought about trying to start my company up again, but every time I think about starting my company up again, I remember, nope. Nope.
Right.
And when you pulled into the parking lot, God worked us. That's all. That's the only thing I can think of. He ribbed us. When you pull into the parking lot of this high school, there are cars everywhere, everywhere. So you pull up like, he's drawing a good house. This is going to be a fantastic show. Everybody's going to get what they was promised. Man, we're about to put wrestling back on the map in Hendersonville. And then you walk to the back of the gym and you look out at the soccer field and they're having homecoming. You've got everybody in Hendersonville, North Carolina, in the football stadium behind the gym.
Yeah.
Nobody's in the,
Yeah. It's a bad night.
nobody's in the gym. So that's the best that I can. That's the best story I can give without just burying everything about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was a long time ago, and I've looked back on it, and there's no reason to bury anybody, because I mean, everything was. All the bridges were mended to an extent, as well as he could, I guess. So he done right by me.
That's good.
I couldn't argue much. But yeah, it was. You expect 1,000 and 250 show up?
Yeah.
Not good. Not with that payroll.
Sounds like the 250 that showed up though got a heck of a show.
They did get a good show.
Those names and the stuff you're talking about.
My favorite thing that happened at that show, nobody in the main event wanted to go out there. Nobody. And that was D'Lo Brown, Tommy Dreamer, Luke Gallows. I mean, just stacked.
Yeah.
Stacked main event. Everybody's mad. They said, man, we're going to get our money somehow. And they was going to go out there and they were going to rip the place apart. Tommy Dreamer, one of my favorite, not just wrestlers, but favorite people in wrestling. I love sitting and talking to him. Great mind in the business. He looked at him and said, boys, I wrestled for ECW. I know what it's like to wrestle for free. I know what it's like to work and not get paid. Let's go out here. Let's put on a show for the crowd. Come back here safely and deal with it when we get back here. He was a voice of reason.
Wow.
And man, that's just resonated with me ever since he said it. I've been to shows where I've worked and there's been 15 people in the crowd and the promoter say, you know what, I really don't think I'm going to be able. Took a deep breath, and I remember what Tommy said. Go out, do your job, whatever happens afterwards, you handle that behind the curtain. The crowd doesn't have to see what goes on behind the curtain. They don't know that things are bad in the back.
Right.
They paid their money to see a show. Go give them a show.
Definitely.
Yes. So from a bad came one positive at least.
Yeah.
Still hate you, Cutshaw.
So the next thing we're going to get into is one of our features. It's called the 10 count. We mentioned it earlier. 10 count is essentially 10 questions we could apply to any one of these interviews. We actually have a batch of, about 25?
Yeah, about that.
We kind of choose, depending on who we have. Sometimes it's at random. But I'm going to do the first 5, Nate's going to do the second 5.
Okay.
The first question is one that we just started fairly recently with Timmy Loretton, actually. It's called Lose One. And typically I'll try and pick a couple things that mean something to the person. So like, for example, I could tell you, lose one, Muda or Arn. But I already know where that one's going, even though it may be difficult for you because I want you to apply this properly.
Okay.
If you lose Arn, you lose the 4 horsemen. There is no
Yes.
horseman. Anything attached to that person, let's be honest, he coined the phrase.
Mhm.
Am I right?
Mhm.
Wasn't it Arn?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is no horseman. If you lose Muda, you lose all of his battles. You lose his gimmick, the ability to use his gimmick. But I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to do a little bit different.
Okay.
I'm going to say lose Muda or lose the Ninja Turtles. So you've never seen the Ninja Turtles, or you've never seen them
Man!
because they didn't exist.
You don't have the shirt on.
You wouldn't have the shirt. You wouldn't have your childhood obsession with them, or
Beta
you
tapes.
wouldn't have your first gimmick. You wouldn't be spraying the mist.
Next.
This is a question that does not have to be difficult. I'm glad I went this way.
Yeah,
I
it's
hate
good.
Oh my gosh.
It's usually 2 wrestlers, which isn't
Right.
too bad. Wow.
Either one would be hard.
Those 2 genres all together, wow.
Jeez.
Whatever it is does not exist as
Mm,
soon as you choose it.
Man.
Do we need to start a time limit?
No, we don't.
Jeopardy theme.
I would have. I'm sorry. I'd have to lose the turtles.
Turtles are out.
I'd have to.
No turtles, no
I would-
shirts.
I would have to.
No VHS or beta tapes.
Well, the beta tapes also had the Ghostbusters and the Jetsons and E.T. and Howard the
You would
Duck
still have
and
those.
Daryl and all that good stuff on it. So
You would still have those.
I would have. I'd
You'd
have
be
to.
good with those.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd have to. I would absolutely, positively have to.
I feel really good that I stumped him for a minute.
That was good.
That was good.
I hate you.
Well, we're talking about Ninja Turtles, superheroes,
Right.
Ghostbusters, things like that. So, question 2 on the 10 count: choose a superpower for yourself.
Okay. Self-healing powers.
We
We've
need to
heard
drop
that.
this
We've heard
question.
that one a few times. We've heard that. I think,
Okay,
What,
3 for
Henry,
3.
Henry said that?
Yeah.
No. Timmy Lou said teleportation so he could go to matches.
Okay.
Oh well, that's a good one too.
Cutshall said.
The first one that goes through my head, because I remember that question. First one goes through my head is time travel.
Okay.
I would go back and slap old me in the face and say, "Quit doing stupid stuff."
Nice. I think a lot of us would do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not slap you, but slap
Oh,
us.
you're more than welcome to. If you saw some of the stuff I was doing, yeah, slap me.
Let's let both of us.
Yeah, that'll work. Good enough.
So question 3 on the 10 count. We've talked about softball a little bit.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're a big softball player. I've seen and talked to you a little bit about bowling.
Mhm.
Talk about other sports that you play now or have played in the past.
Okay.
What's your background
I play golf. I enjoy golf.
right now?
Yes, I'm not great at it right now because it's been a while since I've been on the course. But last summer, I believe I had gotten to where I was shooting 82 to 84 consistently, and actually shot my first sub 80 round
Nice.
at Meadowbrook in Ruffton. I shot 78, and to me that was just I was the cat's pajamas.
Right.
So, let's see, what else have I done? I used to play basketball when I was younger. I didn't play like organized basketball, but we actually had a league in our neighborhood where you had different people's backyards, which was different courts and things like that. One guy's
Yeah,
one
familiar with that.
guy's backyard was nothing but dirt and roots, and you're liable to roll your ankles
Yep.
standing still. The one we wanted to play at was a giant darn driveway that was just, it was huge, it was flat, he had the best goal, he had the best ball, but you only got one game there every 2 weeks. And that was fun. Baseball was my love growing up when I was younger. I played all the way up through high school. I actually had an opportunity to go play or to go try out for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, had the letter of recommendation in hand, and gave it up because I found out that my fiance was pregnant with my first son. And I said, I'm gonna stick to trying to become a wrestler. I'm gonna try to chase this dream because I thought there was big money in it then. Was I wrong? Sports. What other sports? That's it. Bowling right now is like, if I'm not wrestling, you can find me at the bowling alley.
Right.
That's just it.
Yeah, you recently posted that you were going to be in North Augusta, and Nate and I was like, Nate, you got to go out to eat with them.
30 minutes from my house.
Yeah, if that. Yeah, because we're based in Augusta, so there's a golf course there you might be aware of.
Oh, I know the golf course out there. I don't remember the name. I know the golf course.
Yeah, right.
Duh. But I don't want to talk about that tournament. I didn't do too good night one.
Oh, in North Augusta you didn't. Huh?
No.
Yeah, I didn't see you post afterwards.
Well, yeah. Here's the funny thing. First night, I put myself in brackets and I put my fiance in brackets. And brackets are like a tournament inside the tournament. They put your names into a system, you randomly draw people, and it's a handicap bracket. So you're allowed so many pins to get you to a baseline. And like, for instance, if the baseline is 220 and I average 200, I now have 20 pins a game.
Okay.
That I have for me that add to my score to get to a baseline. Kind of evens the playing field.
Sure.
My fiance has 78 sticks per game, 78 pins per game that she gets to add to her score.
Wow.
First night I didn't win nothing. Guess who did?
Yeah.
And guess who has not heard the end of it? Next day, we go to Brunswick National in Augusta, right across the street from all of the hotels and everything like that.
Sure.
Drove by it today.
Yeah, well, go in there and I win $70 or $75 in brackets. I think I'm doing fantastic. Fiance wins 90.
Wow.
Guess who still has not heard the end of it? But we're actually sitting pretty good in the standings, so I can't argue. The second day I shot pretty good. I can't complain. I think my first set I shot 640, so that was pretty solid.
Well, I think it's cool. It's something you can do with your fiance too.
It is,
You know what I
and
mean?
it's something I do with my kid, my 14-year-old.
Yeah.
I've got two
DJ, right?
kids. Yes, DJ. He is, gosh almighty, he's awesome. He is me made over, 110%, except he's not athletic. He doesn't want nothing to do with sports except for bowling. But he's got his niche. That's what he does.
There you go.
And when I say he's me made over, 14 years old, this kid is 6 foot tall and 270 pounds. He's huge. But every Wednesday, me and him bowl in a Baker style junior adult league, which means if I start on the left lane and I shoot the first frame, he shoots the second frame on the right, and our shots combined for one score. So we shot a combined 235 recently, and I thought that he was going to lose his stuff. But he's a mouthy little rascal, let me tell you. I mean,
Where does he get that from?
his mom. No, absolutely not. We were bowling, and I'd thrown a couple of strikes in a row, and he wasn't doing nothing. He was struggling. He wasn't picking up his spares, and I said, "Darn kid, you're getting heavy." And I threw one in the pocket, but left a 4-pin. I turned around and looked. He said, "What was that?" I said, "What do you mean, what was that? You haven't done nothing." I hit the pocket. I left the 4-pin. I picked up the spare. Next frame, he buries one dead in the pocket. Blows all the pins off the deck. I look at him. He says, "Oh man, you're getting heavy. I'm tired of carrying." I said, "Oh, I'm gonna knock you slam out." Next three balls, he threw dead in the pocket. He started running that mouth.
Yeah.
Then he threw the next ball in the ditch, and I started laughing at him. Couldn't help it. But I look forward to every Wednesday. I probably look forward to every Wednesday more than I look forward to the weekends. I love wrestling, but that to me that's my favorite time of the week.
That's cool. Yeah. Question 4 on the 10 count. We've talked about Arn. We've talked about Muda, which again is a nice surprise. I like that,
Right.
Being an influence. Give me a couple more wrestlers that have influenced your style, and just you grew up watching, or currently you'd like to take some pieces from, some more influences besides those two.
First one that comes to mind is a fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Okay.
I found Christopher Daniels around the time I was 16, 17 years old. And at first I wasn't as into the business then as I was when I started actually wrestling. So I still had the Mark mentality of, man, this guy's a dick. Just turn the channel. I'm tired of looking at him. And he played his character to a T. I despised him. When I started wrestling, I started watching. Boy, he's good.
There you go.
He has a nice moonsault too.
Yep, mine's the best moonsault ever, not his. No, I actually hit his best moonsault ever. It's not near as smooth. I used to do it, and I bounced up to the top one time during practice trying to work on it. My foot slipped. I landed right here. Just scorpion, right? Just pow. pow. Got up, hit it again, just to show myself that I could do it. Never tried it again. Never. Let's see. As a heel, Jeff Jarrett.
Okay.
The heat that he used to get in TNA was out of this world.
Yep.
And I mean, I watched some of his stuff. Let's see. Who else? Big Boss Man, of course, a big guy that can move. Vader, a big guy that can move. Bam Bam, a big guy that can move. That's it off the top of my head. And then the rest of them are just our local guys. Just a bunch of the local guys. I'll watch and take a little bit from here, take a little bit from there, and
Yeah.
we'll go with it.
Okay. Question 5 on the 10 count. It's payback time.
Mhm.
Envy, Anthony Henry. What would you take of his? And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be wrestling related. It could be. It could be his entrance music. It could be his merch sales. It could be one of his moves. It could be something else. If you like his car, name his car, whatever. It's up to you. One thing you take from Anthony Henry.
Anthony, if you're watching this, I know you think that I'm gonna say Amber. You're wrong. Let's see. Can I say nothing because everything I have is better than his anyway?
Ooh.
No, just kidding.
You said I'm a Henry guy.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Help me out.
Well, let's see.
Tattoos, haircut.
No, if it was tattoos, I'd already had them. If it was a haircut, I'd already have it.
We talked about martial arts. What about his kicks? That's something that I think he has the best kicks in the Indies.
They're very good. They're very good. Let's see. How about just his technical prowess?
I agree with that.
I mean, he's a purple. I want to say purple. He's either blue or purple in jiu-jitsu too.
Is he?
Yes.
We talked about it, but I don't think we ever asked him his
I don't
rank.
think you mentioned that.
Yeah. But he trained at the same MMA gym as me, and the guy that he trained under, Chris Elms, is probably the best martial arts teacher I've ever had.
Right.
And so if he's learning under Elms, yeah.
Yeah. He's really smooth and really technical. And if I had to take anything, I mean, I would take that. I would steal that. I'd steal his technical prowess. But then again, then I wouldn't be me. Then I wouldn't be an Arn type character. While Arn was super technical, let's just face it, he worked the arm and he hit you with a DDT or a spine buster. That was the end of it.
Very methodical.
Yes.
And intentional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 6 on the 10 count. What would your dream match be with anybody dead or alive in their prime? Hopefully, preferably somebody you haven't wrestled already.
Somebody I haven't wrestled already. Dead or alive in their prime. The easy answer is Arn or Muda, so I'm not going that route.
Thank you.
Cena.
Wow.
I really think Cena's the workhorse of the WWE.
Yeah, he has some great matches.
So, I mean, one work horseman to another, I'd love to get in the ring with Cena.
That'd be good. So if you could sit down with one wrestler or manager, open it up with your mic skills. I don't always open that to everybody, but if you want to sit down with a manager or a wrestler, dead or alive, for 2 hours in a room, pick their brain, who would that be?
Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
There's nobody better.
Yeah.
Nobody better.
That's the biggest Heenan mark sitting next to
Yeah.
him.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, it's nice to meet one.
Yeah.
I love Bobby Heenan. Loved him on commentary.
Absolutely.
Loved him. And my favorite on commentary, believe it or not, was Shivani, Heenan, and Zabisco.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's good.
Loved it. Loved it. Even more than JR and the King.
Mm-hmm.
Even more than Gorilla and anybody. Those three, perfect.
I would agree with that.
Perfect.
That'd be good. All right, so number 8. This is a new one. We haven't done this one before. You're our
Okay.
first person we're trying this out on. Let's say you're in a street fight.
Yeah. We've been waiting to unload this on somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you get to pick 2 indie wrestlers to be in the fight with you against these other 3 people.
Mhm.
Who are you picking?
2 indie wrestlers?
Yeah, to have your back.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my. Masada, who is a legit BMF,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you consider him an indie wrestler or not. If you don't consider him an indie wrestler, I'll go another route. But
We'll go with that.
okay, I mean Masada is just, he's a legit tough guy, and he's a martial artist.
Okay.
He's just, and he's insane, which helps. Another, let's see, man, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
That's real tough because there's some real bad people.
Yeah.
John Davis. John, do I have to say anymore? John Davis might be one of the strongest individuals I've ever been in the ring with, not named Jeff Cobb. And they might be like neck and neck.
Okay.
John is unreal. And he's just, he tells a story, and people don't believe him, about being a bouncer at a club. And on the surveillance video, he says, you see me grab this guy by the collar and throw him out the door, almost Uncle Phil style from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. People called his bluff. He pulled the video up on his phone, and you see the guy fly out the door, and then you see John walking after him. I ain't messing with him.
Okay.
Nope. So John Davis and Masada.
Okay.
That would be the two I had to pick.
So we like, think about 10 counts, we can throw in some non-wrestling
Right.
related questions, and we get some pretty neat responses from this one. Tell us about your first car.
My first car was a black Chevrolet Blazer that my parents paid $500 for. The rear main seal was busted. It leaked a quart of oil every other week. I drove that thing into the ground. Drove it into the ground, but it was all I had. I had two 6x9s in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only speakers I had. It was loud. It was obnoxious, but I drove the hind end out of it. But it was ugly too. God, it was ugly. I think it was an '88 Blizzard.
Okay.
Or
I was going to ask you what you did. Yeah.
it was either an '88 or '90. It was. Oh man.
So what came to the end of it? Have a wreck, or just got too expensive to fix, or time to upgrade, or?
I was putting oil into it, and when I put oil into it, I checked it, and the oil hadn't had time to run down into the engine to where the dipstick was. So I put some in there, and I noticed that it was still, the dipstick still wasn't up to full.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it back in, me being stupid. Put more in. Then I put too much in.
Mm.
Driving to work, and it just dies.
Mm.
And when I say it dies, I mean sputters, backfires, dies. I cut it off. Went to somebody's house, called my mother, told my mother to come get me and take me on to work. When they get there, my stepdad opens the hood and says, "Do you know your truck was on fire?"
Oh wow.
All of the wires inside were burnt up.
Mm.
So I put too much oil in it, and it burned up.
You got lucky though.
I did.
Sounds like. Yeah.
I did get lucky. The replacement to it was an '88 Saab 900.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Very big difference. And once again, I drove that rascal into the ground too. I was bad about that when I was younger.
The only way to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, 10th and final question from the 10 count. I know a lot of times fans do art, or they bring you gifts. Joe likes to bring root beer to Timmy Loretton, for example, just things like that. What's the most strange or unique gift even that you've been given by a fan?
Strange or unique.
Or cool.
Or neat, yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of drawings from kids, and this is the thing that gets me. You can bring me anything Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. Like I've got Pez dispensers in my bag now that somebody brought me, they found when they were moving.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all Ninja Turtles. And there's a couple of Star Wars that I have to give to somebody, but that's neither here nor there. But the thing that gets me are these drawings that kids like 12 and under bring to me and say, "Here, you're my favorite wrestler. I made this for you, I want you to have it." It's hard for me to accept those because like you put forth this much effort, I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
I don't want something to happen to it. And every time somebody hands me, or a kid hands me one and I look at it, I almost tear up.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 of those drawings so far. And they're all at home, and they're all in safe places. I hid one of them from myself so well that I almost forgot where it was. But I found it the other day while I was cleaning up. And they're going to wind up in frames before the end of the year, and they'll be up when I move from my current location. But homemade stuff like that always gets me.
Thank
Always gets me.
Man, thank you for the time. Joe,
Absolutely.
we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, well, don't forget that he made you a sign.
Yeah, I did make you sign it.
So
I know he made me a sign.
we
He's no
thank.
longer here.
No, thanks, Abyss.
Somewhere in the landfill in Columbia.
Yeah. We want to thank everybody for tuning in.
He really
Please-
doesn't.
Please follow, share, like, and all the good stuff. Drake, if you want to
Plug your stuff.
plug any of your social media or any upcoming shows, we won't air this for approximately a week.
Yeah.
Right.
So whatever you want to do.
Well, you can find me on Facebook. Not hard to find. James Drake. You see me as a profile picture. You can find me on Twitter at at Real James Drake, not James_Drake. That's that British guy that nobody likes.
Nobody cares.
So at Real James Drake. You can find me on Instagram. I forget my handle. I know I'm terrible, but I'll never get on it.
Big J something.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
Big
noticed that.
JB16.
That's it.
The Big JB16, and that's my shoot initials. Whatever. Well, we've got. Let's see what's coming up. I know what's coming up tomorrow and Sunday,
Yeah, this
but
will show.
no, this won't show by then. Get a Flow Slam account and watch Evolve. Watch WWN. Then you'll see what's happening tomorrow. I debut for Evolve tomorrow, and then I'm in Atlanta the next night. So get a Flow Slam account and see what happens. Let's see. August 11th and 12th. August 11th, I may be in Joppa, Maryland, and then the 12th, I'm probably going to be in Queens. Those are both Evolve dates.
Nice.
So
It's good.
keep your ears and eyes open. Doing big things lately.
So we won't see you at Viral on 8/12.
No.
Okay. That's unfortunate. That's the closest one for us. We do a lot of
I know
driving.
that.
Like
That's
you
where I
guys.
first met you guys.
That's true. That's true.
Where I first met you guys.
But anyways, guys, if you are a promoter or booker and you're watching this, don't let the physique fool you.
Absolutely.
Book this guy. He's holding titles in different organizations for a reason. And that's pretty much it. Anything, Nate?
No.
We're going to wrap it up here
At Suplexes Mics.
at Suplexes Mics for our social media.